Eventually, right. Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to the fifth. Is it fifth, Kurt?
Yeah, I believe
Fourth,
the fifth episode, yeah.
fifth episode. We still haven't been barred, still haven't been blocked, still haven't been thrown on any terror watch list. Thank you very much. And with us this week on the video cast, instead of Aaron, we've got replaced with Stephen Foy. That's that ugly little cretin. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, just deal with it. And we've also got Kurt. Sorry, Kurt. Awkward. Nevertheless, yeah, we've also got Kurt back on with us. And this week, our guest is going to be, and we're going to bring him on in a few minutes, our guest is Tim Brown from an amazingly named group called P.I.G.S. Absolutely love the name, but we'll go into it very shortly with him. But nevertheless, first off, to start off, Kurt, what have you been up to this week?
This week's been pretty good. Been working, just basically been working, getting more Amazon boxes of P.I.G.S. stuff I really don't need, and I could hear and stuff like that. Everything's been going pretty smooth, man. I mean, hey, I got jobs, I should say in that case, and I'm happy to have that.
You got back to prostitution?
Yeah. By the way, I am. Steve's my pimp. I never told anybody this, and Steve, sorry, buddy, I've been holding out on you. But Steve's all paranoid the government's going to get wind of it. He's not paying taxes, so it's all right. It's all done through America. So no, not back prostituting. Mo, you would have known about that before because I would have tried to pimp you out over in Liverpool first. I would have switched it up a little bit.
Nobody's buying me. Don't waste your money and don't waste your time. I'm not even worth me weight as meat. Put it that way. Oh, right. I'm actually going to do something that I've been dying to do for a very long time. For the love of God, Steve, will you tell me what has been going on with the YouTube channel, please? Why are you doing so smart ass? Come on.
Where do we start?
With the YouTube channel?
The old one that we used to have has done so well. To move it over to this one, I decided to do a push for subscribers and stuff like that, because to let people know that we're the same people. We actually the same team, to try and give that a bit of a push. Add more content, upload more content, having fights with copyright content.
It's a losing battle sometimes.
I will always win, by the way. What I will say, it's a bit strange that happened to me. The Princess Diana one that we done last week, the intro that we use we've used, which we get from YouTube, as flagged up as a copyright notice. It was YouTube's own tune that was allowed to be used free on YouTube using YouTube's Creator Studio.
Yeah.
But they flagged it up as a copyright notice.
Nice.
So Steve, we got written up basically through YouTube for that one intro.
It generally does happen, and it's usually to do with the audio or the sound, as Mo will tell you. I obviously muted it, so at the moment the video is viewable. But if it comes back reinstated again, there's ways around it. I can find another way to do it.
We're not going to get kicked off, are we, or anything like that?
No, that's one of the reasons why I keep an eye on it every day. So just to make sure.
On a more positive note, though, you're the one in America, so if anything happens, dude, you're the first person to hear about it. Okay?
Well, hey, blame me. I don't care. I'll take full responsibility for all the screw ups on YouTube. That way, I'll change my name to NLPI Radio again.
Someone's going to Guantanamo.
It's all right.
It's gonna be me.
I'll take the hit. You got a family. Steve's got a family. I don't. So therefore, I'm basically an orphan when it comes to anybody living with me or children and all that. I'm just an orphan. So yeah.
What about your neighbors upstairs who leave nappies outside the door? I mean, they could be.
I got neighbors next door. I forgot about that. Yeah, they leave. They're Asian, and nothing against Asians. I mean, I'm really not. No disrespect. Really quiet people, perfect neighbors. But they leave, and I'm not going to say the F word, but F in diapers in a bag, which don't get picked up by anybody, which they could put in a trash bag, take it to our dump, throw it in there, and call it a day. But they don't. So I'm walking by smelly, turd-filled diapers every day. I walk by there. And supposedly I live in a luxury apartment complex, which is not luxury. Because I can tell you, it's as old as, probably as old as when Steve had a full head of hair. So
Wow.
I mean,
That's really old.
it's all right, Steve. You and I are probably close to the same age. Or actually, I'm probably older, dude. I just was kidding with Steve on that.
Steve's 26.
Yeah.
Steve, you're
26.
You're 26, Steve.
He's
Yes, I'm
26. Yeah.
26.
No.
Yeah, he's 26.
Put a 1 in front of that. I swear he's like Gandalf.
I actually like Gandalf.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's Gandalf. Oh man.
That's my new nickname from that one. I haven't used that.
That's impressive, Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Just to reiterate on what Steve's been saying about the YouTube channel, there's a few videos that we did load up onto the channel as of late. A couple of them have been Enfield Poltergeist, and yes, that is me just trying to drag on the coattails of what's been going on with the Enfield Poltergeist. But it's also me having an open opinion, as opposed to the way it's been over the past couple of months. I've been a hater of the Enfield Poltergeist, and all of a sudden, I've been digging into it, and all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not disprove it, but I'm trying to prove a point to myself that maybe, you know, I shouldn't have written it off so quick. And I found all the original voice interviews with Morris Gross and Janet Hodgson. So I've got there's 180 hours of it, but I think I've got about 30 out of the 180. I'm roughly. I've just got to try and correlate that into videos. But Stephen also posted last year onto our channel one Enfield Poltergeist video. And he's been doing a little bit of checking out. So Steve, back to you when you've not filled your mouth full of coffee.
Sorry, yeah. Like I was saying before, on our old the Hidden Liverpool channel, as we used to be called before we changed our name, I found an old documentary from the Paranormal channel, which we don't get over here anymore, which is a shame. And pieced it all together. It actually featured Kieran O'Keefe, who we had on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we posted it up. I think it was the first video we uploaded on that channel actually, and just let it go and just left it to build up its momentum. This was before there was rumours of a Conjuring 2 being the Enfield Poltergeist, and before the Sky Enfield Haunting program as well.
Steve, about the Conjuring 2, I just want to ask you a quick question. Wasn't Ed and Lorraine Warren supposedly working on a case in the UK? And is that what we have to look forward to with the Conjuring 2?
I think that's where the rumours originated. You're right. I think that's where the rumours started. I mean, I don't know the complete story behind it, but from what I understand is that they looked at the Enfield Haunting case they never actually investigated it in person, but they actually looked at the case and all that before Ed Warren passed away, I think, I think that's where the rumour came from, because they were obviously heavily involved with the Conjuring 1, the first one, as you know. So I think that's where it started, but it looks like it's gone from a rumour to be this could happen type of thing for next year. I think the date is 2016, something like that.
Oh, is that release date? Is that the release date?
Yeah, I can't remember. That's like July, I think, or maybe August.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have to ask you guys this question because, you know, being on this side of the muddy waters, how is the Enfield Poltergeist so far? Isn't it a trilogy kind of like show? Like three different shows?
Yeah, as a show, it's a bit of a weird one. Timothy Spall's in it. He's a really good actor, but it's been sensationalized. I have not watched it, but I have watched... This is going to sound creepy as shit. Pardon my French. I have watched people watch it. I've listened to people's opinions of it and paid a little bit more attention to what people have got to say about it, as opposed to what the show is. Because, contrary to popular belief, I don't watch horror movies. I definitely don't watch anything like that, because if I do decide to go somewhere and investigate, last thing I need is, well, I've seen that in a film once. That was in the Ouija board movie. Oh, maybe. So I don't watch them. It's more due to that.
No, that's an interesting take, Mo. That's honestly, dude, that's a really interesting take on that. That's the first time I've heard you say that, because, you know, I have heard you say before, yeah, I haven't watched, you know, I usually don't watch horror movies.
Yeah.
And I understand, plus you got kids around too, you really can't. And
Are you mental? My kids love Tim Burton. I've got this thing.
Tim Burton is God, dude. Tim Burton is God, dude.
That's what I mean.
That is so cool.
My house is Tim Burton's.
That is cool.
Weird
but,
sex dungeon. It's weird.
Yeah.
But it's... Go on.
No, but what you were saying is, I've never heard you say why before. You know, I've always took it as like you just don't like it, but I didn't really think about the fact when you do go on investigations, you're like, well, I did see a shadow figure move like that on this show or that show or this or that or that.
But in the same breath, I watch a lot of shows, a lot of the paranormal investigation shows, which not that I shouldn't do, but I kind of I only really watch them because, I mean, as what goes along with our guest who's coming on shortly, I'm heavy into technology. I'm heavy into what the capabilities of technology can do for the paranormal field and what technology can do for whether it's the new person who's just got themselves a tablet or whether it's the next, I don't know, the next Bill Chappell who's going to come along and try to do something, or the next ghost arc, those types of people. I'm more in line with what they're doing because I like to see whether that could be more of a help. So when I watch some of these programs, like for instance, I watch Ghost Adventures, I watch it partly because, as a show goes, I mean, it's not a bad show, but they do like to grab the newest piece of tech that they can find and try it. You've got Ghost Asylum, and they're the same. They're trying to catch ghost incapacitors or something like that, which, do you know what, when I first heard it, I laughed me head off, but then I thought, hang on a second, what's the best way of harnessing energy?
Well,
Logic. They got it in the button.
They use every sorts of logic, whether it's crystals to whether it's they're using a
what's it called, the Devil's Toy Box?
The Devil's Toolbox. Yeah, I was watching it the other night, and just because I was curious on how they were going to create what they were going to create, to catch it. They never catch anything, but they admit to it. So it's not like they're sitting there lying to the public saying we caught a ghost. I mean, they're just trying every different method. That, you know, the Wraith Chasers are just trying every different method to use, I think, to do that, which I think is a little funny in a way, because, you know, but then again, they're thinking outside the box too while they're doing it.
I mean, the paranormal field it needs to be investigated in whatever aspect it is, whether it's ghosts, spirits, the big UFOs or whatever. So you're going to need technology, like what Mo was trying to get to, point out there. Yeah. So you need shows like that to test the equipment in the field, whether it works or whether it doesn't.
Well, separately, they're all good ideas, but collectively it gives one person a decent idea. I mean, if 10 years ago, when we're watching, let's see, Most Haunted, right? The first thing that happened Most Haunted is you see them run into a building and all of a sudden it goes green screen because they drop down into Sony night shots. Now, back in those days, nobody was making infrared illuminators because Sony night shots were not really used. People used to go into buildings with disposable cameras or point-and-click digital cameras.
The where you got the sort of night vision from was the armed force that used that or whatever. For a TV program, certainly not like that one anyway.
The thing is, though, that was then in turn utilised. That was then taken on by us guys when we decided we want to start like illuminating the room at night because it's better to catch a shadow when there's no light in the room, or when there's little light and you can project the light to where the shadow should be. That idea, it makes sense to me. It makes total sense. But that's where we need to be. And I mean, I've gone off on a bit of a mad tangent with this, but that's the reason I watch the shows that I watch as opposed to the films, is because in a film, what do they show you? Let's see, The Conjuring. No, let's go for the Enfield Poltergeist. Why not? Right, the Enfield Poltergeist. They've missed so much out of the show, of what actually really happened. Apparently, they've grabbed, say, for instance, 70% of what's happened, put it into a non-chronological order, and gone, there you go, guys. That's how to scare a load of people.
Are you on about the Sky show here, or you're on about?
Yeah, the Timothy Spall episode on Sky Living, is it? Now that show, what they've done is they've grabbed what will get them the ratings, which, you know what, no one can blame them if that's the job, and if they're a show and they want to be able to pull in ratings.
It's a TV program.
Yeah. You want to pull the ratings in, so let them pull the ratings in the way that they do. But to be fair, bear in mind, Maurice Grosse, he, as an individual, I've got a lot of respect for him. Whether the Enfield Poltergeist was true or false, I've got a lot of respect for the guy, because David Baddiel in 2003 or 2006, tried to defamate his character a little bit on a show. And what did Maurice Grosse do? He took him to court and he sued him for a little over 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then the legend got the 10 grand in one hand, moved it with the other and dropped it into a charity. He said, I don't want the money, I just wanted to teach you a lesson, basically, that you should...
More credibility, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And
it shouldn't be that way, and it worked.
The field of his expertise, before the Enfield Poltergeist case came, he obviously took it very seriously. He was a member of the PSI, am I right?
The PSI? Yes, he was. He was a Psychical Research Society, and he was also a member of what's the Ghost Club, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And since he died in 2006, they've made that a subscription-based service where you have to pay for. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, you ready for the news, dude?
Oh my God, let's go for the news. But before,
let's go for the news. It's too damn good to miss, dude. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
No.
I want to shoot for the news. I was reading it and I was like, oh.
It's up to you. Do you want to do the news, Kev?
It's all you, bro.
Oh,
you picked it. You picked it. I stole it. I don't want to do it.
All right, then. No, okay. You do it.
It's all you, bro.
Oh, you bastard. Right. All right, then. Give me a second. Might as well do it properly. Oh, Jesus, hate Christ. Right, first things first, guys, right, you have to pull news. Part and parcel of when you do a show is you need to have news. So please do not shoot the messenger, okay? That's all I'm going to say to you. And I'm sorry. For the love of God, I'm sorry, right? Ghostbusters find evidence of...
Only from Scotland. Only from Scotland, that's all I'm saying.
Read the story as it is, first and foremost.
Oh, my God. Ghost hunters find evidence of botanics fairies.
I'm being partial now.
Sorry?
I'm being partial now.
Yeah, I'm going to try and be professional about this. Paranormal experts say that they have uncovered evidence of fairies living in the Royal Botanic Garden. The self-styled spirit hunters examined the attraction in March to see if they could find any trace of the mythical natural sprites. Spiritualist medium Gary Gray and the UFO enthusiast Ron Halliday reported seeing globes of coloured light and being not of this world. The pair used dowsing rods to detect hidden energy. My wife's just gone past pirouetting like a fairy, I'm not messing, right? And then they said they were drawn to a portal that allowed the fairies to cross between their world and ours. Bear in mind, guys, I'm just going to do it. No spelling mistakes there, right? Halliday said that there was a number of sites that had what we call powerful psychic vortices, whales of energy in constant motion that glowed with a coloured light. And Dr. Ian Edwards, the head of the events at the garden, said that visitors had reported feeling vital energies that emanate from the trees and the flowers. Findings will be presented at the Scottish UFO and Paranormal Conference in Edinburgh next month. Okay, please. Are fairies and energy vortexes any sillier than a virgin birth or a man being resurrected from the dead? People cling to superstitions that make them feel good about themselves. Hang on a second. If I bumped into a fairy, I'm not going to sit there and think I feel fucking really well for myself here, pardon my French. I don't feel really well. Let's see. Someone else has spotted that they've been told there's fairies up on Colton Hill. Reported seeing globes of coloured light and being not of this world. Come on, folks. That really a bunch of fairies at the CEC are spending on a spending spree with our money. They can always be creative with that. Why does the Evening News give publicity to these nutters? Wow.
I don't like to say nutters for one. I think that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, I think nutters is. I think it's perfectly fitting, actually.
I'd go as far as saying I was professionally squiffed. Nurse Ratchet, are you missing a couple of patients? This lot could spend a bit time being investigated up at the Andrew Duncan Clinic. Okay, are they growing magic mushrooms at the Botanic these days? I love it. We are living in an age where more than ever people turn away from reason. People turn away from reason and convince themselves that fantasy is reality. But enough about the referendum result. This is about psychic vortices, and which another name for unscientific mumbo jumbo. If people are gullible enough to believe in fairies, you might question their ability to make reasonable decisions in the world. Right, first things first, I'm going to point something out to you. Does that say unscientific to you?
Let me see, blow it up a little bit.
I've just set it on fire, blow it up. Unscientific. Unscientific mumbo.
That's really horrible looking, but yeah, scientific mumbo jumbo.
Wow. Right, I explained something to Kate for people who are listening, and I'm not just being an absolute nugget about this, right? Where science is concerned, right, for you to have something which you could class as scientific proof or scientific fact, right, there's a percentage, right? And this percentage is how close to 100% you have to be right before it can be classed as definite, okay? Right? You have to be 95% right, okay? That's not a certainty. A certainty is 100%. Certainty is proof. So if we were to walk up to peer review with the best piece of evidence you could ever pull, and we had 95% proof that this is the best piece of evidence you're ever going to pull, and we hand it, somebody's going to come along and go, hang on a second, there's a 5% chance that that's wrong, so we can't take that. But where science is concerned, if you're 95% right, nobody questions the 5% wrong. So using the word unscientific or scientific, that's no argument. It can't be. And don't get me wrong, I've got a friend who's heavy into physics, but he's also got red hair, so I don't really believe anything he says. That's just my personal opinion. But Kurt, as I was saying to you guys, for those in the chat room, I'm sorry I wasted your time with amazing news. For those watching the YouTube channel, I'm sorry. We normally do better, but to be fair.
Hey Mo, quick question. We are having some. We need to show some people how to properly get on our show using a cell phone and / tablet, because on my phone.
Oh, cool.
Because if you could walk through that before we bring Tim on, that'd be great.
Yeah. If anybody wants to watch this and they don't want to watch it through the VidCast channel, go onto our Facebook page. Underneath our event link, Stephen's thrown a link to the YouTube video. Now, the YouTube video, it's an external YouTube video. Literally on the YouTube channel, we're live. You'll see a live button. You can click it on your mobile phone and you can watch it. Steve, what's with the cheeky grin?
I just like the way you went live. It's just
live. Yeah. It's like I have to flick my hair because I can. No offense. But yeah. But yeah. Nevertheless, if you want to watch us and you haven't got access to us on the Google Hangouts, if you haven't got access through the BTWN page, when just dive straight onto YouTube, and we're on YouTube now live. I think we've got a 20-second delay, so sorry about that one, but that's YouTube's fault because they like to link everybody. Nevertheless, I'm going to bring on our guest, and I'm going to ask our guest a question straight off the bat. So, none other than an absolutely amazing little character who's Tim. Ready? Steady? Yes, should be coming up in a second. And he's alive. There he is. Your mic's muted, so give us a second. You've muted yourself.
How's that?
There you go, thank God. Can everybody see Tim?
Yeah.
There we go. Right.
Can you hear me now? That's all good. Did I mute myself then?
No, I think it's a feature built into this. I think it just automatically mutes in case there's a mistake.
You know what? I had some theme music and everything like playing when I said hello. It's like drum rolls and everything.
Yes.
I put all muted out. So.
You've been playing around with the features. Yeah, I just had visions of you like psyching yourself out like it's a boxing match ready to go on. And go, ready, steady. Oh, it's these. Oh crap.
I've got some wood. I've chopped it up into like logs. And I've been running up hills and stuff all day.
Yeah.
Like, tiger playing and that.
Did you go into like a meat factory or something like that and start punching around like hanging cow?
The open market in Brighton. It's mainly fish. I don't sell chickens, but some of it.
I ran in there and started punching cod. If it works, do that way. Right? First things first.
That's not a good thing to do, especially not on air.
No, God, no. I mean, you could do a lot worse though. Right? Nevertheless, Tim Brown from P.I.G.S, absolute legend of a guy. Over the moon you've came on, but I'm going to ask you a really important question to start off.
Okay.
Where'd you stand on fairies?
Well, you know what? I'd like to say that I kind of don't stand on fairies because that would be a really bad thing to do because there are currently undiscovered like phenomena, and I think personally I would go, well, I'm not a believer in fairies. However, I mean, how can I say I don't believe in fairies but I do believe in ghosts? Because they're both they're not the same thing, but they're both as obscure in the minds of a lot of people as everything else. I think we think fairies are a lot more unlikely. But you know, when this thing's been around for since the 1920s, when people took pictures of magazine cutouts and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'd be interested. You know, the other thing is that people take pictures of dragonflies, don't they? And they say it's a fairy in the forest. Yeah. But I think I'm always interested to know of any kind of phenomena, and as long as I have my own, I might well think to myself, well, this is so obscure, it can't possibly be true. But I'm always open-minded enough. You know what? I want to see if there's some kind of evidence of this phenomena. I want to see it.
Yeah. Right, and just to be, I'm going to actually fight your corner on this one because I'm actually going to kind of agree with you on this, right? If you use the word fairy, the first thing you think is Tinkerbell, fairies, little pretty princesses, right? And then you look at the same name, fairy, back in the good old days, they were called the Fae. It was actually apparently a civilization of mythical creatures from the Middle East called the Fae. Now the thing with the Fae is they're not as sweet and innocent Tinkerbell, run around, kiss you on the cheek, make you feel good. They apparently one of the things they used to do was behead rapists in the sleep. They were horrible, vile little creatures.
Middle Eastern? Would it come from the Middle East, basically?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it literally Middle East, the Fae. And I once, I think if I remember correctly, when we first started on Blood Talk with Kurt, I read a story about the Fae, and what it was is a man. He was a nobleman in the Middle East, and his daughter was kidnapped by one of there was what they used to call a Fae procession through the town, and it happened every night, and only certain people could see it. And his daughter was meant, he said, keep your daughters and your children locked away because the Fae are not nice people. And apparently it was an old wives' tale that no one believed in. And one of these guys' daughters was sitting on the roof watching the Fae procession, and one of the Fae grabbed her to keep her. And apparently this guy found a way of sitting on a rock in a certain area, and the Fae King came over and said, why are you here? And he went, one of your Fae has took my daughter and need her back. And apparently the Fae King was meant to have gone, right, okay, not a problem, leave it with me, stay here. He stayed there, and now an hour passes, 2 hours passes, 3 hours later his daughter gets dragged along. The Fae who kidnapped his daughter was there, and the king apparently lifted his throat and cut his head off. Now that's where fairies are. So back in the good old days of fairies, I think it's let's thank Disney for the reason that they're all pretty little fairies when apparently they're all little creepy bastards.
Started on Disney too.
So Tim, have you ever had anybody ask you about fairies? I mean, out of all seriousness.
Yeah, you know,
minus Mo, and that's, I'm not shocked because Mo knows about the fays and all that good stuff. But okay, I really want to ask you this question before we, I don't want to take it that, but your background is a police officer, you're a constable, am I correct? You were.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a constable, have you ever had anybody call you saying, I've had this happen to make you scratch your head? Because I want to start from where you started to where you are now, if possible. Has anybody ever got a call that's somewhat out of the ordinary paranormal-wise before? And I've always wanted to ask you this, and I just never had the chance.
Okay, you know what? In my career in that time, no, it didn't happen. It was all like very ordinary, street drinkers and stuff like that. My rank was so low that it wouldn't get involved in anything like that. It just wasn't something that was heard about, or obviously it happened in terms of the paranormal world has been going for blooming years, but it wasn't something I ever came across, to be honest. If you got what could you say? I suppose if you had a poltergeist and that got run in, it would be treated as an intruder. And the evidence of who's got in, how did they get in, what's happened, that sort of stuff. So in light of that, nothing exciting to report.
Can I just ask you, jumping back to the Enfield poltergeist again, from your experience as a police officer, when that came up, because one of the credible witnesses is a police officer, whether you know this or not, how would you take that if it was to happen to you while you were in the forces? Would you take it the same way as treating as an intruder?
I think, to be honest, it would be what's happened. What's been reported is it like a disturbance? It would be if you try and put the phenomena that has occurred into normal kind of things. So you're dealing with sounds, intruding footsteps, things getting broken, possibly criminal damage. You can't be that realm. It would be a long way before anyone considered. I don't even think they would consider the fact that it was paranormal. To be honest, it would be what's going on, or it would be down to possibly the children has created this scenario.
Yeah, that's what they were saying about Janet Hodgson in the Enfield poltergeist event. Anyway, she was faking things. And I know this is sort of squiffing towards what we've just been talking about a little earlier, but she was actually faking some of the things, her and her sister, because sometimes people would treat them like circus acts. So what they'd do is they'd fake it just to annoy them or to play with them, and it's really ripped into their credibility for the story. But nevertheless, I mean, as an event goes, it's hard to try and classify what happened because only a few real people knew what happened in that situation. But I'm glad Steve brought up that question, because if you...
Just an interesting point of view from how a professional officer like Tim was.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because you'd have to use logical, reasonable, procedural thinking that you'd have to do at work, and you'd also have a paranormal side. But were you actually linked with the paranormal as much as you are now, back in those days of the force?
In those days, not at all. Not at all. It was I got into the paranormal after I'd left all that.
Right.
Moved on to other things.
But was there an interest in the paranormal whilst you were on the bus? I was about to say, because if it just automatically appeared, then that's
to be honest, we've got a family picture when I was about 3 years old. I was sitting there reading a ghost book to a cat. Yeah. I mean, I've always been interested in this stuff and fascinated and creeped out by it.
Yeah.
And I think, you go through things, and it all came to me. I kind of got back into it because I wanted to do some photography one night, and I was in a place called Preston Manor, or the grounds of Preston Manor in Brighton, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was doing some nighttime photography because I wanted to sort of do the long exposure sort of stuff. This is going back to like a camera with a film in it rather than digital things.
Yeah.
And I suddenly felt really sick, and I felt like I was being watched and stuff. And I thought, this is bad. The neighbours are probably watching me from afar, thinking I'm taking pictures of the manor at night. He's probably doing it because they're going to turn the place over later on or something. So I felt paranoid for all those reasons. But that night, I left the grounds, and I felt perfectly fine as soon as I'd left. And I got a film developed a couple of weeks later, and there was one photograph in it. I would say to you, I think I genuinely captured an apparition in a photograph that night. And it was just the bizarrest thing. And ever since then, my fascination with ghosts and trying to capture them using whatever technology that's where it all came from, that moment, and back in 1997. And by that time, I'd already moved on with my career, and I was doing other things.
Yeah. No, it's a really good logical way of thinking about it, because it sounds horrible to say, and I don't want you to sound like I'm calling you an old person by any stretch of the imagination, but I've never really had a good conversation with somebody who used like 35mm film to take shots, especially with the paranormal's concerned, because back in the day when it's classed wasteful for us to take more than 5 or 6 shots of the same area, it's a bit of a worry because you're running out of film, you've got to change your film. Nowadays, sadly, I mean, I went to the park yesterday with my daughter, my son and my wife, and I took, I think it was 180 shots on a camera.
Yeah.
Plus, I was teaching my son how to take photographs, and he took 100 shots. Yeah. And between us, that's 280 shots, and you don't realise you've done it. That's the thing with the way paranormal's gone, especially with the way investigating with digital media's gone.
Yeah, but go on, Steve.
It's the way technology's gone, to be fair.
Sadly,
I tell you something though, Mo. Thinking about it, honestly, your son will have a better chance of catching something than probably 80% of the people out there that post stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah. He's gonna find something solid. He's gonna come across that one shot where you're like, "That's my kid," and it's really cool though to think about it.
I'm horrible. I'll just rob the image and tell people it was me.
Oh no!
I could never do that to him. But no, I mean, as I was saying, it comes along to what you actually do. With regards to the website you've got running at the moment, Tim, is technology nowadays. It's made it so easy for us to get up and go. And I always get.
We want everything instantly. We want everything instantly these days. And it's like in those days you'd use a 35mm camera and you take a photograph. You've got no idea what that photograph looks like. Yeah. So if you're experimenting with like aperture settings and f settings and all the rest of it, you're going to take several photographs of the same thing and click it around until you know that the conditions are matching. You have a light meter so you can tell if it's going to work or not. So you fiddle around. Whereas today you shoot a shot off and you kind of preview it instantly. We want everything so instant these days, and it's a good thing because you can go take 200 photographs in an afternoon. And 10 years ago, I think maybe 15 years ago, that would have been what 200. That's like 4 rolls of film.
Yeah, easy. It's scary how quick you can blast through it. But because nowadays we've fell more into it's easy to use obviously digitized ways of doing it. It makes our life slightly easier, but in the same breath, it has actually bit us on the backside as paranormal investigators, because along with some of the digital media coming along, people have all got access to camera phones, and every single one of us has got one. And what's the worst thing? I'm gonna show the world. I'm gonna show people a secret about orbs. See that thing there? See that? Actually, it's bad to show you because my light's on it, right? But I'll turn the light off. See that there? That is actually called an LED. Sorry for being a shock, but there's the reason that you're spotting the most people are taking orb pictures at the moment. And I please forgive me if you subscribe to the belief in orbs, but I struggle at the moment, and I always have struggled with people having digital cameras or camera phones which have got LED flashes. It doesn't flash like a Xenon flash. It's horrible.
It's like the cheaper the phone, the more orbs you're going to pick up.
My phone's amazing.
Huh?
Screw you, my phone's amazing.
No. The cheaper the phone.
It's awesome.
Oh, you're using that to. Yeah, F off, dude. Anyhow, as you said, I didn't say the word. I didn't break the computer this time. I'm focusing. But no, seriously though, Steve. Not Steve. Sorry, Mo. I get you guys confused. You know, both have ugly faces. But the thing, and you're like 2 inches from my face, so it makes it scarier. No, like let's say you buy a cheap Canon for $125 versus let's say your new Nikon you bought.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to be popping off shots because of the LED flash. You're going to get more orbs. It's like if the camera's for darker conditions. For example, I ran into issues when I was in Missouri. I took my Samsung with me, and it wasn't working because it wasn't glued into something when I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I was out in the middle
to focus.
It took too long to focus. I couldn't get anything. But Lynette, when she was there, she took her cheaper phone because it's got low light capabilities. It was popping off thing, but she did say at the same time the only downside about having a cheaper low light film is you do pick up, orbs, and these are the things that people are posting on Facebook and other social media, orbs that you could not see with your eyes. Let's say you just happen to walk across, you see a globule making its way across and freak you out a little bit. It's just, and people swear, they see with the pareidolia with the faces in it and all this other crap. I mean, I blame it on the cheaper phones too. So, and you were the ones that taught me about, how bad the cell phone camera is and stuff like that. I mean, I'm going with that on that.
Now, the one thing I have to point out, right, is the news that we've just decided to do before, which was on fairies. I had a choice between fairies or a ghost picture of a dog that was taken by an Asian or Middle Eastern family, who came over from, I think it was India, and they came over for a short break to Britain, and they were at a castle, and in the back of the photograph there's an orb, and this is proper CSI crap, by the way. There's an orb in the distance. Inside that orb is a dog. That's how good that orb was. There was a dog in it. Right, and I thought, should I do it? No, let's go with fairies. It's more believable. I should have sounds horrible, but that's my own personal opinion. And as I said, Tim, I don't know where you stand on orbs, and I don't want you to think that I'm just shooting them down in case you do believe in them. But me, I'm a bit more tech than that.
I'm going to say, I think Steve Parsons did a spectacular piece of work several years ago where he took the subjects of orbs and he went through months of taking photographs of dust to prove to us that it was dust or moisture or all this shit. And I believe, that is what it is. And to be honest, it's about the lens of the camera. You can forget, your phones have got tiny lenses. If you took the original digital cameras, they never had great lenses in them either. And as a result of not very good lenses, you end up with kind of these things. It starts being reflected back on the infrared wavelengths, if you like, and that's what it is. It appears as a glow.
Yeah. Now, I pointed out to Kate last year about when I was putting the LED flash out. If you look at any digital camera on the market at the moment, any decent camera has a xenon flash, which is a bulb, a couple of capacitors, and they just literally burst the power through the bulb. The filament lights up, the bulb lights up and lights off quicker than you can half blink your eye. They are so quick at doing it. LED flashes on your phone don't. They come on for half a second and go off. So everything that's in front of it illuminates. It always will illuminate for half a second. And then the shutter or technical shutter on a camera phone, there's no shutter. It's just literally activate, deactivate. That catches as much light as it possibly can in that time, or as much image as it can, and then obviously processes it. So really, that's the reason people are catching orbs. But again, it's the same as the ghost stalkers. They've all of a sudden jumped onto portals because portals the new thing. Orbs were the new thing. There's always going to be a fad or a phase in the paranormal, sadly. Black Eyed Kids in Cannock Chase, for God's sake.
To bring up a point on the Ghost Stalkers show, the news that I told you about at the start of the show and earlier on today, I actually watched an episode of it. We actually do get that over here. I think it's on the Sci-Fi channel. Can't remember.
Which show, Steve? I missed that.
Ghost Stalkers.
Is that the one with Chad, Mo's bromance? Mo's got a bromance because he's Shaggy. Mo loves Shaggy for some reason. So we know Mo was like a miniature investigator even as a kid, man, with Scooby-Doo. I got to give him that. But Tim, Mo's got a crush on Chad Lindbergh.
I feel bad for him.
I just want to let you know that, Tim, that you're dealing with somebody who's got a bromance going with an actor who played investigator right there.
It's not. I feel bad for the dude. I just want to get him, give him a hug, and say, listen, dude, stop putting yourself into scary situations when you wet yourself in McDonald's because they don't give you fucking large drink. That's just me. Sorry, mate. Go on. What were you saying?
Yeah, as I was saying. I found it strange that on the video clip that I sent you this morning, plus this other show, which is in two different investigations and situations, they used the portal sort of approach to both investigations. And as you know, every investigation is going to be different because it's a different area, different stories, different situations and circumstances. It's not going to be the same all the time. It never is. That's the reason why we want to investigate to begin with. And I just that put me off it today. But finding that one clip of the so-called full body apparition, where we saw portals on that show, to a completely different show which we watched last night, and they were using exactly the same argument. And
See, that's what happens is with the paranormal. There's always a phase and there's always a fad. You've got Ghost Adventures. They've got everyone gets scratched by the mark of the Trinity or Mock of the Trinity.
You point out orbs before it happened. When Walk Stars first did the sheet, that's what they used to go on most of the time, was orbs.
Orbs and things getting thrown at them from behind the cameraman.
Which one was that, Mo?
Behind the cameraman.
Which one, Mo?
Most haunted.
We can't diss our boy Kieran, but
no, he's all good.
He's good.
A guy. Right. Nevertheless, so that's enough about me having player hating on the entire paranormal field. But what I am going to pull up for guys is Tim doesn't just run with the guys and pigs. I mean, you were telling me about your team before, Tim. For the love of God, how many people in your team you've got to do?
Okay, we started off as a team of 3. Just 3 guys walking about in muddy fields, looking around old castles, and ended up in the pub. That's how we started off. And we kind of evolved a little bit because we sort of decided we needed to do some research because none of us knew what we were talking about. And so we got a couple of really good researchers in, which are Lauren and Amy, and they're still in the team now. But anyway, we then started doing ghost hunts, public ghost hunts. So we picked up working with a charity called Anthony Nolan over here, and we had like a slightly bigger team. Another 2 people came in to help us because, you know, if you're going to have 30 or 35 people and you need to get around a location safely, you break them into smaller teams, and you need a good team leader for each team. So then our team grew a bit more. Today, you know, I've got 15 team leaders in my team. And the reason I've got so many, not because we ever have 15 team leaders at once, is more because, you know, everyone's got real life stuff going on. Everyone's got like a hair appointment or nails that need to be done, and shopping that has to be picked up. And
I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying a word, Jim.
Ghost stuff has to, you know, it has to fit around people's lives. So the reason there's 15 in the team is because, you know, it's about having a big enough team to be flexible enough to have a good team that you can put out an investigation, but at the same time, no one feels any pressure if they can't make it that night, because we've always got someone that can come and do it.
Yeah. The killer part is with people who investigate in the paranormal, if you can't go, you normally feel robbed. I know that feel. If we ever have an investigation that drops off or one of our guys can't go, I normally feel a bit too guilty. I'm like, oh, what can we do? Can we move it back? And before we know it, me and Stephen and our team over on the UK side from BTWN, we've been doing an investigation. Now we have to do 2 visits to this investigation. We've just done one a couple of weeks ago, and trying to arrange the second one is like pulling teeth. It's a nightmare trying to get, because effectively there's 6 of us, right? And trying to get the 6 of us in a room together at the same time, oh my God, it's happened once.
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard. You know what? I think a lot of paranormal teams fall out. I think the reason that teams don't last that long, and they tend to last about 3 years, and that's kind of it, is because they have this thing, and people can't make it. People do have other life things they've got to do, but some people are so passionate about, of course, the ghost stuff. They don't understand that, you know, John Smith has got a dental appointment. It's more important than seeing some ghosts. That's unfortunately it is, and that's what it is. And I think they all fall out because they think people are not committed and that sort of stuff.
Okay, Tim, if you got 15 lead investigators, I mean, how much money do you invest in kit alone? I know how much Mo does, and with Mo, and I'm talking with 6, it's a lot. I mean, can't say exactly amount-wise because that's nobody's business, but Mo's. But I'm just saying in general, with 15, are you the one that basically forks over the money for the kit, or does everybody put in for the kit? Like I have enough to outfit 2 teams right now, and what I do is I watch it collect dust. So basically, I watch it collect dust, and it ends on eBay, and people that don't pay me for it. So
to be honest, I'm extremely grateful to my guys, and their time is it's so valuable. And I think what it is that the one thing I always put to the guys is you guys will never, ever, ever pay for anything. Right? Everything the P.I.G.S does for them is always free because they're giving their time and their knowledge and their wisdom and everything to this project. Or to whatever it is that we're doing. So they never have to pay for any insurance, they never have to pay for any kit, they never have to pay for any clothes, well obviously their own clothes, but not the P.I.G.S clothes, and all that sort of stuff, because I think it's right that the team, or the P.I.G.S as a brand, if you like, would look after its own people.
See, that's solid, because I've heard from stateside, I've heard from stateside from people that were investigative groups, there were like team leaders and stuff like that, we're kind of forcing the people to pitch in to buy kit, to buy some kit, and lo and behold, that guy is going to end up stealing the kit down the road a little bit because he's got a hold of it. You know what I'm talking about? And I find that to be BS. I mean, if somebody wants to come to the group and they have kit, they have some kit that they want to bring in, I'd be happy. I'd be cool. I don't have to bring out all my stuff then. But I just don't like when you hear about people that are being forced into it on both sides of the pond, I'm saying, actually. It does happen in the UK also that, some of these team leaders and these leaders are forcing their own people to pitch in for kit that they'll never get to use because, let's say I want to FLIR, right? And let's say we all come up with this plan. Since I'm representing the US, I put together a team. I make everybody pay $200-300 so I can buy my own FLIR camera. I'd never do that. I'd take it out of my own pocket. It would be me. So if I take anybody out on investigations, it's all there for them. I already have it there for them. But it drives me up a wall when people do that. Petrol, another story. That's another story in itself because that's fair, But for kit, it just drives me up a wall from the stories I've heard from these different groups out there that are forcing their members, I'd even pay for my own insurance should I have it. I don't know if they cover brick and ladder, but I'd pay for my own insurance. I'd pay for my own insurance if I could afford it, if they even offered it. And they don't offer it in the States unless you got an LLC, a license, or you're a nonprofit. Now, to me, to go to a non-place and prove that I'm a paranormal group and I'm nonprofit, I got to pay quarterly dividends on taxes, and I am not doing that. So, but I'm with you, Tim, and Mo's the same way. Mo's the same way as you, Tim. That it's and it's I don't know, it's fair.
No, I agree. I like to keep all my equipment. It sounds horrible, and Steve, don't take this as offensive, but I like to own all my equipment because I don't think if I'm going to be the person who's going to, I mean, on our side of the pond, I started the Hidden Liverpool thing before we started with BTWN, and I started it on the sole purpose that it was going to be me and somebody else, and then someone else came along and I'm the geek. So rather than leave somebody to have a nervous breakdown doing all the setup, I decided to do it, and it's just sort of snowballed heavily downhill until such a time as I've got more tripods than I know what to do with, and I've actually got more cameras than people. It's weird, I shouldn't do it, but nevertheless, at least if something breaks, I've always got like 6 or 7 million different versions to replace it with. But I don't know, I think it's what we do. I mean, I've got this feeling that you fall under the same category as me a little bit, where you sort of overcompensate for equipment. I mean, and the reason I'm saying that is because, for the love of God, you've got the UkGhostStore, which is one thing we haven't mentioned to the viewers.
We haven't even put that up yet, yeah.
Not yet. Tim Brown runs the UkGhostStore. So
I think they come to the ghost store in a second, but I think the thing with kit is, it's something, if the group, if you're the founder of a group or of an organisation or whatever it is, a paranormal company or whatever you want to call them, then that company, you know, you either want a good company or a bad company, and a good company would have all the things it needs, and a bad company may, well, not be bad, but it may not have the things it needs. So, you know, it's like if you're running your own business and you make sure you've got, if you're running a cafe, you'd make sure you've got chairs around the tables for your customers to sit on.
Yeah.
And so it's about having the things that you need. And you know, no one, I don't think anyone can go out and buy all this lot in one day and have it all as one big expense. It's one of those things. Over the years, this, as you know, Mo, that you know, your equipment pile grows and grows.
Yeah, 100%.
And to a point that you've got, okay, you're going to an investigation next week, for example, and the phenomena is audio upstairs, footsteps in the hallway, that sort of stuff. So you go, okay, well, what bits of kit do I need? Well, I need some audio stuff. So you go into your pile of stuff and you pull out all the audio stuff, and you go, this is the stuff I'm going to concentrate most with. And then, you know, all the other temperature stuff that you've got, you kind of leave there, and you take the stuff you need. So you build a stockpile, if you like, of armament that you can use in the future, and you've always got it to hand. So.
And no, I totally agree with you. I mean, where kit's concerned, I sort of fall under the opinion that maybe, you know, there's going to be a point where you're going to buy too much. But if you did have not the pleasure, but the utter privilege as an individual to be blessed with enough money to go out and actually buy yourself 6,000 or 7,000, just to give you an idea, right? If you were, I don't know, Ghost Adventures, and you were starting up with a heavy budget, and they said to you, here's the amount of money you've got, right? I can tell you now, and I'm not a big massive fan of all the shows. I like to watch them, but I'm not a fan. I know by watching the equipment, and especially what some of these guys use on Ghost Adventures, there's a guy called Aaron Goodwin. He's got about 8 or 9 GoPro cameras and about 30 GoPro batteries in a box, like a Pelican case. That box, at the price of all those cameras and batteries, that's worth about $4,000. And he just uses it to document his day-to-day life for his own little video cast, which doesn't earn no money. That's privilege, but in the same breath, he's bought all them possibly in one go, because they're all Hero 4s, and you think, okay, that's how many GoPros do you need to do a decent film of yourself? 2 at max if you wanted to do it. Plus as well. But,
you made me think.
You got too many GoPros again.
I just bought a new GoPro. It's the first one. It was the first. I got the Silver 3 Plus. That's my baby. That's the one I bought. Then I just bought one. The first GoPro, the first one for the Hero. I just bought that, and then I got 2 knockoff GoPros, which I'll take out. And I don't like the sound. The sound is absolutely horrible compared to the sound on a regular GoPro, but the video was actually decent at 720. Yeah. So I mean, but the batteries, dude. I buy batteries from Amazon. So many batteries because they burn out so quick when you do it. But I heard GoPro, dude. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, that's cool. I'm just saying, if you were to go for your own kit and you were to start up as an investigator, and then you had the privilege to go out and buy yourself a pile of cameras. Say, I came in contact with, let's just say, a privileged child. He's about 15 years of age, wanted to start investigating. He came into the place I work, and he said, "Listen, I want to investigate." And at the time, I think he said he had something like £300. I was like, wow, you're going to do really well for £300. He went, and once I've bought my voice recorders, then I'm going to move on to cameras. I was like, you're spending £300 on voice recorders? He's like, yeah. And it was nothing to him. I was thinking, you never, and it's not jealousy, it's more, you know, you sitting there looking at it from a logical standpoint, is you're never going to be able to learn what each one of them does. If you buy 3 or 4 at a time, you need to buy a piece of equipment, learn it. Buy a piece of equipment, learn it. That's why, sadly, we sometimes have to do it the old Amish way, and buy something, use it for a couple of weeks, learn how it works, and then get it out there. If we were to be not hand-fed, but if we were literally had everything bought in one go, you'd sort of have to rely on somebody else to show you what.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a nightmare because you can so easily buy the wrong thing as well. You know, from buying voice recorders, there's some of them you like, there's some of them you don't like. And some of them do a better job than others. And I think it's one of those things. If you buy, I'm always a believer. If you want to buy a bit of kit, then buy it. But buy it and do a bit of research. Maybe ask people what they're using and find out what they like about it. Get a bit of a kind of a choice in your kind of menu about what you want to buy, and then you can buy for yourself or go and if you know people in the paranormal network industry or the paranormal world, then everybody is more than happy to show you something that they think is cool. And then you can go around and decide how cool you really think this is when you want to buy your own stuff.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm going to fall exactly with what you've just said there. Is I like to help groups. I mean, Kate's the same. I like to help if someone phones up or someone messages or emails, same as Steve might have had it in the past himself. If somebody will message you and say to you, I'm starting up and I don't know which voice recorder to get, what's your opinion? I'm like, well, don't use my opinion.
I had an email similar to that quite recently, actually, yeah.
See, it does happen quite a lot, and I'm happy to always to sit there with people and say, this is my opinion, this is what I'd suggest. I set up a tutorial for people who wanted to modify Connect, to run Connect off a laptop, and I set up a tutorial and I posted it on my old website. I said, guys, there it is, take it. I've even put all the software you need, what order you install it in, and here's how, if you wanted to modify it and cut the end off and put it on, that's how you do it. I set it up and I said, guys, go for it. Kate broke it.
No. Here's what happened. Mo, I had no idea how to do it, so I had to sign over my computer to Mo. That was a given. You know, I'm watching him probably stealing every penny I own and stuff like that because I was wondering why I can't pay rent for the last 3 months and I'm hiding in a corner. But no, Mo actually set it up for me, walked me through it, and in 10 minutes, I guess he did it. And I used it at the Lemp Mansion. I was able to figure out easily how to use it at the Lemp Mansion. Well, he's got it connected to a tripod, which I'll worry about later. I just had mine set up somewhere where it could have the vision of the room. Also, but what he did is he showed me the same thing that they use on Ghost Adventures, where you pay about 900 American dollars for. I bought it, and plus I bought the plugs and everything else. For I'd say total about 30 American dollars, I'm guessing, from what I remember. And it works great. It works. I can't say it works awesome, and it's the same thing, except I don't got a handheld thing.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
That's the only thing.
Sorry to butt in there, but before we get off this subject, the Connect thing, we had it going, I think, on 2 investigations, and I was really intrigued with it. I thought it was a fascinating thing. I've got a Connect, and I've never managed to work out how the hell to do this. So I'm pleased that Mo knows all about it, because I'll be tapping you up later on.
Mate, you are welcome to ask any questions. You can have all the software I use to get it running. It is so easy to do that you look at it and you'll think exactly what I thought when you set it up. Why did it waste me time? The first thing it done was to the right hand side of where I'm sitting right now, that way, is there's a radiator, and what it done is it mapped the corner of the radiator like a child leaning on a wall. And I'm sitting there, and I was taking photographs. Go, whoa, this is weird. And then I thought, no, it's not. It connects programmed to spot a human body. It's programmed to know a head, shoulders, torso. It knows what it looks like. It doesn't know what a dog looks like. It'll think a dog's a little person. It doesn't realise that, if it sees a hanger on the wall, it'll see a hanger as a human. That's the one glitch that you'll never get away with Connect. But there's a feature in Connect. If you use Connect Depth, like the Connect 3D Studio, you can 3D map the room.
That's cool. It's so cool.
That's amazing. But what people don't...
The Connect version 2, only the version 3.0, which is the bit you get on the Xbox One, I think.
Nope, I can do it on my one.
You can do
the original one. Yeah, the original one was what they really got it. What they got it working with, and what it'll do is it will literally 3D map a room into what looks like a traffic cone. It comes into a point, and you can grab it and spin it. So you can spin the room around. You can go to different points in the room. Now you can record it, and the only reason it's better than the skeletal framework is it doesn't differentiate cat from dog from human. It shows you the mass moving across a 3D scape. Now, if you film it and you leave, which I've done, and leave it recording for an hour, maybe 2 hours at a time, at the end of it, and you review it, you spot something, you can pause it, spin it round, and zoom in on it. Now, granted, it's not going to be a 3D image of somebody standing there. It's half a 3D image because it's say, for instance, that's your body. That's what it sees. And the back of this, it can't obviously see because the camera's here. It's really, really good. And that's the only purpose I've ever found that it's actually got really good waiting for. Now for the next one. When I get 2 others or 3 others and I can find a way of getting them all to work together, maybe then you could map a full room. Maybe then it will work really, really well. But until such a time, Connect is it's a really good piece of kit if you use it properly.
What's Tim's take on using it?
Yeah, what's your take on that? Sorry, Tim, Steve, that's what your take on using it.
I think I was fascinated. The first time I'd ever seen it being used, we did an event at Highlands House and we used it there. And we got a guy in the team called Tim, Tim Ghostbuster Stevens, his name is. He's named a Ghostbuster bit in the middle of it. And stuff, but we put that, he put that in there. But anyway, he understood how it worked, right? And I was just fascinated to see this experiment. I'd never seen this done before, and I looked at it, I thought, you know, this is the possibilities that what we're fishing for here, or what you can probably fish for on the Connect, is about. Again, it's just opening up possibilities, and then if you don't open possibilities, then you're not going to kind of push the boundaries of what's possible to catch or not. So exactly. I love that. I love the fact that this thing can be adapted to run and record. And you know, Tim did it a couple of times for us, and I never really understood how it worked and how. And I knew he had some software that it was running with, but I use Macs, you see, and I use and it was always a Windows thing. But I've got a Windows laptop. I could use it hopefully with that, and I'm kind of hoping that one day I'll be able to finally do this for myself.
Well, what we'll do, I'll definitely. Sorry.
And speak to yourself. You'll help them out.
Yeah, I'll definitely. If you catch up with me during the week, what I'll do is I'll talk you through it step by step. It is really easy. You'd be surprised. But definitely catch up with me. If you need the help with it, I'll definitely give you the help. But no worries. Now back to. Sorry, go on.
I was like, Tim, if I can do it, dude, you can do it 100 times better. That's all I just
honestly, have you ever seen Rain Man?
Yeah.
With Dustin Hoffman? That's like trying to teach Kate.
Oh, it is. I'm tech retarded, dude. I swear to God, I've been diagnosed since I was a kid. Tech retarded.
Too busy holding a handheld television to do anything, and that's all it was. He just wanted to he kept asking me, could he watch Jeopardy? I didn't know why.
Yeah. Mo got pissed off at me at that point.
But, right, nevertheless, we're going to move over to the important one now that I'm looking forward to talking about. The UkGhostStore.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, yes. Right, well, before we go any further, let's do it my way. What can you tell us about it so far?
Okay, the UkGhostStore is... Okay, there it is. It's appeared on the screens. The UkGhostStore, you know, as you guys all know, I had my own ghost store. It's been running for about 3 years, and it was great because people seemed to really get in, and the products were always selling. I don't get me wrong, I had products that didn't sell, so we took those off, and you know, had a collection over 3 years worth of kind of knowledge about buying products and what's a good products and good product to sell, and the things that people want. And what I found is that, you know, the website, the old P.I.G.S website is great, but it's a bit restrictive. It doesn't operate like a proper store because it never was. It was just a website that was converted into it. So about 6 months ago, I was talking with a web developer about the possibility of bringing up and having a paranormal store, which is of the same standard that you would expect to find from one of the professional retailers, you know, like one of the high street retailers that got an online presence and stuff. A really top-notch, easy-to-use store. And we talked about this, and we went through lots of different things, and we finally came up with what we're looking at now, the UkGhostStore framework. And we talked about how it's working. So the whole thing, the beauty of the UkGhostStore is I can guarantee the whole conversations in its design were all about how easy is this to use. How can we get the information that people want in front of people without it being too intrusive or too many words or just too much for people to take in? So after loads and loads of discussions and throwing things in the bin, this is the final result. And every product, or should we say 90% of the products have, believe it or not, over a 300-word description. And it sounds like a nightmare, but I can tell you the way it's laid out, it doesn't look that text heavy. Because, you know, I don't like to read loads of stuff. I just want to be using and seeing and buying and getting excited with the experience of it all. So, and the whole thing about this is it's there. It should be easy to navigate, nice to use, and it gives me the opportunity to be able to bring in things like, you know, promotions, and if I get a deal on, if I buy stock and I get a deal on the stock, then I can pass that deal on because I can run an instant deal or a sale or a promotion. And it's good, and it's from that point of view, it's really nice. I wanted it to be really nice to use because I believe, you know, my customers, I've got a good collection of very loyal customers that like to come and buy and talk to me about the gadgetry and stuff. And I wanted them to be able to use the Ghost Store in a way that would enthuse them and, you know, and give them all the things that they wanted to know, but of course still stay personal and in touch and all that sort of stuff. Well, you can see obviously the contact details of my personal phone.
Tim, I have a question for you real quick. I remember discussing with you maybe a couple years back or something like that. You were having an issue with somebody in the States that was making something that was kind of just not, you paid for it and they didn't send the kit that they were supposed to. Are you still working, without naming anybody or anything, are you still working with that individual?
No, unfortunately not. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it was a terrible thing. We put a lot of money into some stock, and it hadn't turned up for months. They said it had been sent, never turned up, that sort of stuff, and it was a really bad thing because as a small business, you only have certain budgets that you can invest into stock, and once that's invested and no stock comes through, then you're screwed. Unless at a place I've got no stock and no money to buy it. And then I've got no money to buy stock, to have stock, to sell stock, to create money, to buy more stock. So real nightmare. So it was a problem. And the worst thing was the guy was not even talking to me, wouldn't even return my emails. And it was real.
I wrote him a couple times. I wasn't too nice about it, but I apologize.
No, that's brilliant. Eventually, he agreed to. He said that he sent it. It got lost somewhere apparently. And then resent it, and it arrived within a couple of weeks, and I had that stock.
Okay. That's good.
And I just thought, you know what? At this point, I don't want to take that risk again, and therefore I didn't. So I don't stock that stuff.
So do you deal with guys like Gary Galka directly, or anybody who does, let's say, a Melmeter, or I'm trying to think anything else Gary Galka puts out? Ghost boxes and this and that. I mean, do you do direct buy? Is that how that works? Because I know there's a lot in the States. There's St. Augustine Ghost Store, and there's a million of them. GhostStop.com, and I'm curious for myself. How does that work? Because I know every time I sell something paranormal on eBay, it sells like that. I mean, whether it's a tri-field meter, I've sold old Mel meters, or a K2 meter. It sells. I mean, there's like a market out there, but I don't know how. Since you own a store, do you go directly through the marketer, or is there a middle person involved?
So it depends. If I'm honest, sometimes it comes directly from the manufacturer. Other times you have to go through other means to get it and get a trade deal on it. So they become a middle person, if you like, and they're going to be earning on that as well because every step of the way people are working. It's their work.
Yes. Yes.
I've seen GhostStore store. I like the guys at GhostStore. They've been really helpful to me with lots of things. And I have a conversation with them almost every other month about stock because they're very knowledgeable guys. And I'd say that it depends. With things like the Mel meter and stuff like that, I use a third party to source the stock. But the trick is buying it in quantity. If I buy in quantity, then I can get it here at a good price, which enables me to sell it at a good price in the UK as well.
That's one thing I wanted to point out there as well. I'm looking here. You've got a vibration detector Pro with sound, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Other than the Pro with sound part, if that's what I think it is, it's basically it's a heavy form of a geophone, maybe.
Yes.
Or the technology in a geophone is not exactly the cheapest thing in the world, and you roughly buy them for 40 quid unbuilt. So, I mean, if you can do that at that price, that's impressive. And the second thing I want to point out, and I'm not going to mention any names, I know of a store in Britain that sells that for 3 times as much, and I've seen them sell second hand on eBay for that price. So how the hell?
Oh my God! Yeah.
How the hell?
I did my homework and I went and I saw these things for myself. I saw how much those thermometer things were selling. I saw how much the K2s were selling, and I thought, and I bought my own K2 at that high price as well. Yeah. But then when I got talking and you get network and you start to know people, you know what? Those K2s are the genuine American-made K2s that come straight from the States, and they are the proper thing. And I can guarantee you, I personally think I'm selling those cheaper than even the people on eBay are selling them.
They're expensive here in the States. They're steep. They're not cheap by far.
I'd go as far as saying that you're doing really well with them, to be fair. And I'm just looking at this here. For instance, you got a DVR for £50.
Yeah.
Now, I can get,
that's sweet.
I'm pretty sure that you haven't got a hard drive in that thing because for £50, but about to say for the price of hard drives, if you go to scan in Bolton, for instance, a hard drive is going to cost you a couple of pounds, literally. So you can set yourself up with a system through you for really, really cheap. Again, do you know what, right?
Jeez.
When you mess around with technology in Britain, unfortunately, when we have to deal with the Far East to ship items over to us, whether it be on CCTV equipment or remote control equipment, anything like that. We don't get that many deliveries as a country, as a mass delivery. So things like CCTV, if we were to buy that off a major retailer in Britain, who I'm not going to mention their names of, right? If they sell it out of their stock, they can't just order some for tomorrow. They have to order some which comes over on what they call a super tanker. It's a massive ship. It carries a lot of the electronic equipment to Britain. The bad part is we could, as a country, wait 3 months for stock. The best part with the, and don't take offence to me calling you this, but the best part with the smaller businesses and the smaller groups like yourself is you can order in a slightly less quantity, which doesn't involve a bleeding container, and get it a hell of a lot quicker, and you can still have the same really cheap price. And you know what, I have always been a fan of your site, and I've always been a fan of the way you're messing around with the moment with Apparition Technologies, because they're a good group. He's a good guy. I've followed him on Twitter. I've followed his I've got him followed on Facebook as well, and I've been on your site a million times, and I love the way you've done it, even down to the new way you've built the site now. I think it's really, really good, but we kind of need somebody who's doing what you're doing, otherwise you're going to...
I think you're right. I think because before I had the ghost store, I used to buy kit the same as everyone else, and I found myself on eBay, and you never really know what you're buying on eBay. And don't get me wrong, there's some bargains to be had, but there's also, you can get caught up with all sorts of stuff which is not quite right.
Yeah.
And or you can pay through the nose for stuff and other places and stuff, or you can get hit if you buy it. For us in the UK, if we buy stuff in the States, we think we've got a good deal because we've bought and spent $100 on something, which we don't really understand. We just know that's about 85 quid.
Yeah.
You spend the money and it comes over here, and the next thing you know, a letter from the post office or the customs guys telling you now owe 30 quid. So all of a sudden that 80 quid is now 110 quid, and so it goes on, and you think, well, hang on, maybe I didn't get a bargain after all. And on top of that, it takes bloody weeks, doesn't it, to get stuff?
Yeah, it does. I was going to send 3 bars of chocolate over to Kate because Kate doesn't know what good chocolate tastes like.
I don't. I'm an American, so I really don't know what good chocolate is. I get Hershey's.
Bear in mind, I was going to send 3 Dairy Milks over to Kate, 3 of the big Dairy Milk bars, right? And it was going to work out roughly about a £5 to buy them, which is, sorry, Kate, £5, right? It's going to cost me to get it over to him quick and in a decent time frame, £30.
Oh.
And I would, and no offence, I want to help you get fat, Kate, but not that much.
I think I do well by myself, dude. I'll be honest with you.
You are a professional at that.
I'm trying to lose weight, man. I'm trying to hang out more with you guys and your eating habits. That's what I'm saying.
You don't want to do that. But no, as it stands, we're getting all of equipment and kits concerned. It's a struggle for anybody. So I mean, I'll applaud you for what you're doing on the grounds that now, as I said, people don't have to go on eBay and buy off some untrustworthy guy in Maryland or something like that.
Hey, my tri-field meter natural one works. I checked it. It works. I bought it on eBay. I'm going to resell it on eBay. I just hate it because I hate when it calibrates. It calibrates fine, and then you stand up and you move, and then it starts moving over again. You're like, son of a bitch, that is just not work. I don't want it. I want to make $124 off of it. I probably paid a lot more for it, $148, I think. But I'm willing to take a hit just to make some money back to put in the bank or something like that. So I
understand. So nevertheless, I mean that's me having a man crush on your site, and I'm sorry you'll have to deal with that. But there is another feature on your website which I've just noticed there. I'm going to try and boot it up if it actually allows me to, because my net connection at the moment's hurt. Events. How are you running on the event side of things?
Okay, the event side is, of course, where this is my team doing public events and stuff. Last year we did 14 events, of which 7 of them were for charities, free of charge events and stuff like that. And the other 7, you hire a location, you pay your bills, and what you're left with is not much after you've done the event, sort of thing. Yeah. So we did 14, and by the time I got to the end of the year, to be honest, I was really tired of it. And not tired of doing events, but just really tired from it. So this year we're going to do a lot less events. So we started the year by doing one in a place called the Hippodrome in Eastbourne, which is a really old haunted theatre. And it was a great night. We had a great time there. The next one we're doing Wainring Manor, which is the one you see featured on the Ghost Store there.
Yeah.
That's sold out. a week after Weymouth Manor, we're off to the Channel Islands to do a back-to-back event there. This is something which is, it's not really we're running the events, but it's under a different promotion company. We're just kind of going out there and being looked after, if you like, in exchange for doing the event.
Yeah.
And then we're back in the UK again for October. We've got the summer's the summer. No one goes hunting in the summer apparently, apart from people like us. But it's, the public don't like going to go something in the summer. So we wait till October. We've got a field place. We've got Weymouth Manor again, and I'm still waiting for something to finish off the kind of year. So we're not doing so many this year, but I'm hoping to do kind of bigger and more complicated events rather than so many kind of the same thing.
You've just touched on something there, right? And I don't know whether you can or can't talk about it where the Channel Islands one's concerned. But a hell of a lot of the Channel Islands was occupied in World War II by Germans.
Yeah, that's right.
The underground hospital and the likes. Now, are you allowed to talk about where you are in the Channel Islands?
Absolutely. Okay. In the Channel Islands, what we're going over to do this time is what are we doing? Oh yeah, a place called Hampton Farm, I think it is the first night. It's a massive old farm complex it's now kind of a museum under Jersey Heritage, but it's got bags of history and lots of stories of ghosts that wander around. Not particularly Nazis or anything like that, but just sort of old traditional ghosts. The following night we're doing Jersey Museum, which is a massively old building, loads of history to it, and of course a couple of ghost stories. Before that, in the Channel Islands, we've done Mount Gull Castle and Elizabeth Castle in Jersey. Yeah. And of course, let's not forget Myres in Guernsey, which was a Nazi war battery built by forced labour and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Now,
a massive one that was really dug into the island. I think I've seen that on the History Channel once.
No, Sorry, Steve. Go on.
It was that really big German battery that was built in the whole island, basically.
Yeah, it is. Well, the whole island is peppered with various fortifications. There is hundreds over there, of which there's 4 Myreses. Myres was a gun emplacement, was designed to stop the British Navy having access to the English Channel.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of these gun emplacements, of which we investigated gun emplacement number 4, I think. But it's an underground complex. Which is fairly big. You can get 45 people through at a ghost event in there. Of course, it's all concrete, so sound travels like everywhere. Yeah. But it's big enough to do that. So you can imagine it's a big complex underground, and of course it's all semi-derelict as well. And it's a fascinating fact. It's very like a Silent Hill sort of place.
Yeah.
I had the privilege when I was younger of going to the underground hospital in Jersey. I have never been to a place which has made me feel so apprehensive in my life. And I live by, I don't know if you've heard that Newsham Orphanage Asylum crap they come out with in Liverpool. This big old asylum.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, I live about 300 metres away from the building, right? And it's nice, that's about it. And I've been in there, I've spent nights there, and it's nothing scary. People who want to think it's an asylum, sorry for ruining your life, it's not. It's an old orphanage and day hospital that they just call asylum because it's publicity. But nevertheless, that underground hospital actually made me feel really apprehensive, more due to the fact that some of the... have you ever been in there?
No, I haven't been in there.
Some of the operating theatres are caged off like jail cells.
Blimey.
And it makes you wonder why you'd cage off an operating theatre, but nevertheless, I didn't want to ask a question. I just kept walking with the tour. But my God, as a place goes, that... I don't know if it's just a Nazi occupation, whether it was the amount of people who died during the making of it, because obviously the Germans weren't very... They were not exactly renowned for having unions that helped the workers.
No.
To be fair, sadly they weren't very thoughtful for those guys. But no, I'd go as far as saying a lot of that island, especially in Jersey, a lot of it was really creepy for me. I just thought it was just a bit too close to home.
I think, to be honest, in these days, living in the UK or the States, we just cannot comprehend what was going on whatsoever. We can see the buildings, we can see the buildings, and we've heard all the stories, and we can picture in our minds about the Nazi regime and stuff. We can't comprehend the horror of what was going on.
Thing is, we don't actually fully know the full extent of the horror that did happen, because a lot of the stuff that happened, if you work out the amount of people that were lost in World War II due to the Germans' occupation in, like for instance, Poland, how many people did they kill? Something like 3-point-something million people were killed in a span of time. Each one of them was a person. Each one of them, each pair of shoes and outfits that you see, every pair of glasses belonged to a person. And talk about being able to comprehend something. You look at that and it gives me a really sick feeling in my stomach. But in the same breath, it sounds horrible to say, but as a paranormal investigator, you sort of still, it's in the back of your mind thinking places like that, can you imagine? It sounds horrible, and please don't think I'm all those horrible people, but something says in the back of your mind that if you could take a camera and take a few shots, would you ever catch anything in a situation like that? But nevertheless,
I think you're right, and the beauty, not the beauty, it's far from beauty in this situation, but the kind of good part from a perspective of investigation is that these are not investigated like places in the UK. Places in the UK, they hire them out, and there's someone in there every other week.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in the Channel Islands. No one investigates the paranormal.
Yeah. I once spoke to a guy who was very clandestine about it, but he actually had the chance to go into Auschwitz, and he took a tour around Auschwitz, but he took a tour as an investigator, and he was popping shots off left, right, and centre, running his voice recorder on the sly, and at the end when he walked out, he apparently felt nothing but guilt for what he'd done. Just due to, obviously, but in the same breath, people say, we done a show once, me and Kate, it was called Taboo Investigations, which is basically the places you'd feel, if you put it this way, if I could say to you as a place, where would you go if conscience was not an issue? And everybody, and I'll ask you the same question now, where would you go if you didn't have to worry about your conscience?
For fear of sounding really shallow, I kind of, my view is, I wouldn't mind. I'd like to go and do Auschwitz or places like that, because I think it's a very fascinating. The history is absolutely fascinating, and it's chilling and it's horrid. And to be able to investigate that would be an absolute privilege to any investigator. Investigating. What I would not want to see, to be honest, would be investigators being disrespectful to the environment or to the potential subject of their investigation. I would not want to see that in a place like that.
Would you do the Japanese suicide forest, Tim?
Well,
that's my dream place to go, by the way. Mo's got his, which I'm not going to say what it is, but mine is to go there for many reasons. Not only to investigate, but just to get the feel of it. I mean, it's just insane.
It is, and I think it's right. Because on one side, you could go with morals and say, well, it's a terrible thing. Why would you want to gloat on these people's misery? But at the same side, as an investigator of paranormal phenomena, when you know enough about it, you start going, well, okay, likely cause is you have this terrible place that terrible things happen, and the likely cause of the things that you investigate as a paranormal, that's a place where it's likely to be present as a result. So as an investigator, you want to go to those likely places to try and capture whatever it is you're trying to investigate, wouldn't you?
It's an absolute head scratcher, because as an individual, I'll say to you now, would you go to the suicide forest? And as an investigator, you'll go, yeah, of course you will.
Oh, you would, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, of course you would. But in the same breath, you're always going to get that one person who say, well, don't you think it's disrespectful?
Well, that's the ethical guy. Well, that's the ethical guy you kick off your team. That's the guy, you're no longer with us no longer. You suck anyway, because we can't afford to bring you along anyhow. Yeah, so, we'll talk later.
The thing I love about it, though, is everybody who says that to you don't realise that absolutely every single place you investigate has had a death. Somebody's died there, regardless to whether it's the Lizzie Borden, whether it's the Basilica, whether it's Lent Mansion, Waverley Hills, certain asylums in Britain, Whittingham, and all those types of asylums, whether you investigate an old castle, no matter where you investigate. And to be fair, if you live in Britain, statistically, most houses you live, somebody's died in. Sorry, guys, if you think that they don't, but
it's the truth.
Somebody's probably died in every single house. I know somebody died in my mum's living room. I have a friend who somebody was murdered in the 1920s in their living room and got battered to death with an ashtray in the living room.
An ashtray?
Yeah, ashtray, big glass.
Oh,
ashtray.
That would hurt. That would hurt. All right, but you investigate.
It hurts enough to kill them. Yeah, you would definitely. But as I said, you don't realise that as an investigator. People don't seem to fall. As an outsider, they think, oh well, I wouldn't like to investigate that place because something bad happened there. Well, sorry to say, but as an investigator, something bad happened pretty much everywhere we go. It's just no matter what.
It's like, yeah, it's like the point is that's the whole point, you know? I mean, if somebody committed suicide, let's say in my living room, and I found out about it, you know, I get, because in America you can get on whodied.com, whodiedinmyhouse.com, and they list it. And they list if there was a death in your house. It costs $11, and I did it, of course, the minute I moved in here. In my new apartment, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I want to see if someone died here. I'd have this place just looped with cameras and all the time. But,
oh, my God, you creepy son.
Well, you know how I am, dude. I mean, come on. Let's just be honest about it. You roll the same dice I do, bro.
Yeah. No, I do.
You'd be doing the same thing, man.
Right.
Except you'd have it hooked up really a lot better than I would. That's the only difference.
Right, we're coming to the end of the show now, so just before we start getting ready to wind down, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I tell you what, I want to talk about GhostStore, strangely enough. Sorry about this, guys. But I want to cover something quickly off, and just to say that the GhostStore's this particular GhostStore's only been around for a week. It's UkGhostStore.com or .co.uk, whichever one you want to use. What I would say is that apparition stuff, currently there's some bits that are available, some of it's not. Most of it's out of stock, but that stock is coming. Okay, so the stock is going to be rolling in very shortly, so don't worry if it's out of stock. Come back, keep looking, and it will slowly appear to be available for people.
Is it possible for anybody, if something's out of stock, is it possible for somebody maybe to email you to ask you to drop a message when it's time to come into stock?
Absolutely, yes, do that. Please contact me if anything you see is not available. Just give me a message, and I'll let you know when it's coming in, or I might even be able to get you one quicker, and then it will be appearing in the store.
So it's fair to say that you'll actually help the new investigator. So you'll do a lot more than eBay would. It'd probably sting you and then.
Absolutely, and anything you buy from me, I will look after that product and the people for a year. You don't get that.
There you go, guys.
You can't say fairer than that.
You now have officially became the QVC of the paranormal world, and that's an impressive thing to wear. Wear it like a badge. No, that's amazing. I mean, I'm not just saying it because you're on the show, but I actually think what you've built, especially as the website and especially as a store and as a team, I think what you've done is actually a massive asset to the British side of the paranormal field, because I don't know how many times I've seen people selling like the odd bits or bobs on Facebook, and yay, anyone can sell anything on Facebook, but you've actually put a lot of heart and soul and effort into it, and I'm going to applaud you on that. I think it's worked really well. So shut up, Kurt. Now, if you don't mind, I'm just going to get one of our guys to just quickly plug what's going on. So go on, Steve, go.
Plug. Oh yeah. Oh, that'll be the new.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Me and my friend Kate over there in the other side of the muddy pond have started a new Conspiracy Corner show on the 27th of this month. It's going to be done in the same format as this VidCast. Our first guest is Ed Becker. Is that right, Kate?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to be discussing all things conspiracy. Not going to hold back on anything. We'll discuss many different things. Will be in the first show, especially from his side of the water.
Is it fair to say, from when you said from his side of the water, is it because the dodgiest crap over there?
Well,
we are dodgy. We are dodgy. I admit it. I'm not going to lie. I don't take responsibility for the dodginess, but Mo, yes, we are 100% dodgy. But we learn from you. We learn from the best.
Is it true that you're a Russian spy, Kurt? And is there anything you want me to say to Edward Snowden?
He'll probably be my cellmate after I'm done talking to Steve. I think Edward and I will have little conversations, and I'll leak it out to Steve and let F3 or M15 or whatever the fuck it's called in England figure it out.
MI5, M15.
MI5 is, I don't fucking know.
Why are you asking for motorways?
I don't care anyway.
Oh, give up on life.
Yeah, so that's on the 27th of May. It was our first show, 10 o'clock. I think it's a Wednesday. I'm not too sure. Look out for it. Look out for any previews leading up to it as well. First guest will be Ed Becker. We had a paranormal show at some point as well, I think.
So, finally, before we go, right, I'm going to make sure that we've got a link to the video cast for the Conspiracy Corner. That's going to show up on our page probably within the next 10-15 minutes. And Tim, I'm going to also send a link to your UK Ghost Store onto our webpage as well. So if anybody needs to get access to it, and if you can't find Tim through Tim's normal page, if you're one of our guys who watches the show, jump onto our website, find us on there. Find them on there and find all his amazing toys on there. So.
Brilliant, thanks, mate.
I'll also include the links for Tim's website, UkGhostStore.com. Is that right, Tim?
That's right.
And .co.uk, and on the credits of this video, so they're all there as well, and on the ending credits as well.
Superb. And Tim, thank you very much for coming on. It's been really good to speak to you.
Thanks, man.
It's always a pleasure with you guys. It's always such good fun. So thank you very much for inviting me on this week.
Dude, you're welcome anytime. But nevertheless, guys, right, it's time for us to call a night. I think we've literally called the 11:30 mark. So enjoy your evening. Thanks for coming on, guys. And thanks for everybody for viewing. So take it easy. Take care. Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye. Bye.